You're talking to someone, you're having this great conversation, you are in flow, you're in the zone. You know that your services or products can absolutely help someone. And then it comes to the point where you have to tell them the cost, how much it is, and you get nervous. Your confidence starts to dwindle. You go from being in your zone of genius to anxious, nervous, uncomfortable saying your price. That is so common, and it is what we are talking about on today's episode of the Quantum Wealth Podcast. Regardless of the type of business you're in, you have to sell. If you are a business owner, you want to make money, and that means that you need to be able to sell. Even if you're not the one doing the sales, and if not you, then you as the CEO or as the business owner need to identify the skill set, the qualities that someone else has when you are hiring them to do sales. And the most important thing when it comes to saying your price, when it comes to selling, is your energy. It's not the number, it's not the words you say, it is the energy behind it. And that is why I brought this episode to you, because it's so important, regardless of the business, that you feel confident in the energetics of your pricing. And what I find is there are usually two types of business owners. The kind that is totally confident. It comes to the pitch, they have to say their price, they say it, and it just feels good. It's so easy, it's so natural. And then there's the flip side of that coin, the opposite. The person who clams up, the person who gets really nervous, the person who either went from being totally confident to, oh my goodness, so nervous, clenching their fists. When they say their price, they say the number, they get really uncomfortable. Or the person who's uncomfortable during the whole pitch because they know it's coming. They know that they're going to have to say their price, and selling makes them uneasy. I used to be someone who did so much market research on pricing. When I was going to price something, I could tell you what everyone in my market, what all of my competitors charged for the exact same thing. And I find that is a common crutch with business owners. There are definitely specific entrepreneurs who know everyone's pricing. But here's how I have changed since evolving, since really learning about the energy of money, the energy of pricing, and really how I have evolved since I've gotten comfortable speaking about pricing. I no longer research the market. I no longer care what my competitors are doing. Do I look to some degree? Yes, but I do not do the extensive research that I once did. And the reason for this is because it literally does not matter. It doesn't matter. There is a market for everything. And when you stop outsourcing what other people's pricing says and means about you, you become so much more confident in your own pricing, in yourself. And that's really what helps you become not just a better salesperson, but a more confident CEO. And I think that is so much more important. So I want to ask you this. When you go to say your price to someone, what comes up in your body? What do you physically feel? And if you need to go there, take a moment, unless you're driving, close your eyes, get quiet with yourself, take a deep breath, and just imagine that you are saying your price to someone who's interested. Maybe you are on a call, maybe you're at a networking event, you're talking to a potential client, and it comes the time when you know what they need, you know the right service, you know what you want to sell them, you know the product, and you have to tell them, oh, this is what it is, and the investment is. What comes up in your body. And my hope for you is that you feel really calm, really peaceful. And also what I know is that for so many of us, there is this tightness in the chest. There's a pit in the stomach. And so what I want to offer to you is that you can say that number, that scenario can happen for you in your head and in reality, and you can just feel an overwhelming sense of calm and peace. And that's my goal for you. That's what I want for you, because that is how you are going to become better at selling. That's how you're going to be able to price your offers at absolutely any price and close the sale. So let's go back to competitor analysis. because that was definitely my default. When I was looking at everyone else's pricing, what I was telling myself is I am being well informed. I need to know what the market charges. All this information is going to make me better when it comes to my pricing. And to a degree, I genuinely believe that is true. I think it's really important, depending on the kind of business that you have, to know what your competitors are charging, what the going market rate is. And also, I think that it can harm you. And here's how it can harm you. Because when you are constantly looking at everyone else, you get into imposter syndrome. You go into comparison analysis, and it can be harder to make decisions. You may see someone who you really thought really highly of, and they're pricing higher than you. You may see someone who you don't think is as good as you, and they are pricing lower. And this, again, can be helpful at times, and also it can really hold you back. It can get you in your head, so where you were feeling really good about one price, and then you no longer are feeling good about that price. So this happened with one of my one-on-one clients. She knew that she wanted to raise her prices. She needed to because her margins were too low. She was spending too much time, energies, too much on materials. She had a physical product. And so she knew she needed to raise the price. Okay, easy peasy. So what she did is she started looking at her competitors. Fine. So we were working one-on-one together, and one week she was like, I'm going to look at them, and then I'm going to look at them. And after a few weeks, she was still looking at her competitors, and she still hadn't raised her prices. And that's when I decided, okay, this is it. This is my new rule. You're allowed to look at 3 competitors. 3 competitors gives you the information, but after 3, you are doing yourself a disservice. Then it's just a crutch for you. You are holding yourself back from actually raising your prices by spending all this time comparing and looking at your competitors. Because pricing is only one factor in people's decision-making process. And maybe not for everyone and maybe not always, but the main reason people buy is because they believe you are the solution to their problems. And here's what I want to offer to you. People will pay absolutely any price if their problem is important to them and they believe that you will solve it. Let's go to the extreme on this. I want you to imagine that your loved one was sick. Your pet was sick. Let's use a pet just because it's less dramatic of an example. I want you to imagine that your dog goes to the vet, is not doing well, and you would do anything for this pet, right? Regardless of what they tell you, the cost is going to be for the solution to fix your pet, you're going to pay it. And that may not be true with everyone with pets, but I want you to think like, oh, if it's your kid, yes, they're going to pay anything. People are resourceful and they will come up with the money if they see the value in what you are offering. So your job is to get out of the energy of proving and get into the energy of solving the problem. And here's how this relates to your price. When you say your price and you are feeling uncertain, iffy, when you're pulled into that energy of, oh gosh, I hate selling. Oh gosh, this is hard. Oh, I'm undercharging. Oh, I'm overcharging. You get pulled out of that confident energy, that energy where you know you are the solution to someone's problem. But if you know deep in your bones that you are the solution to someone's problem, regardless of the number that you're going to say, you're going to feel good about it. And so that's why we have to stop thinking about the number and comparing. It's only one piece of the pie. And I would argue that the more important piece of the pie when it comes to pricing is the way that you say it, the way that you hold it. This is the energetics of pricing. It is that energy, that confidence, that knowing that you are going to deliver. That confidence is what sells people. And you can say $5 just as confidently as you can say $5,000 if the energy behind the price feels good. So here's the other part of the piece when it comes to the energetics of pricing. If you cannot say the price feeling confident, you are not ready for that price. I personally would rather have you undercharge and feel really good about it than overcharge and not feel good about it. And I know you might think that sounds strange from a money coach. And of course, there's so many factors that goes into this. Like, have you made 6 figures in your business? How new are you to your business? How green are you? Are you at a point of scaling? How busy and booked are you? But I really think that the most important thing when you say your price is having that confidence, is feeling really good about the price. And a lot of that comes from the number, totally. And a lot of that comes from inside. So to tell you more about how this pricing comes from deep down, I really want to explain to you how I personally as a coach get to the root cause of something. So let me tell you a story about a one-on-one client that I was working with. She was new to working with me. We were on our 3rd coaching session of a 6-month package. And one of the main things that she was like, at the end of 6 months, I want this to be gone. I want to feel better about this, was this comparison. She was deep in comparing herself to her competition, to other people in her industry. And here's how I am very different as a coach. A lot of coaches would look at that and they would talk about the comparison. They would see what is going on with the comparison with the other people. They would talk about the competitors. We touched on it very briefly, but in our 3 sessions, so like almost 3 hours together, we spent a lot of quality time on 3 very different specific things that we decided and agreed upon that we would work on. And so the end of the 3rd call, she said, I have to tell you something, and this is kind of embarrassing for me. And I was like, oh my goodness, you can tell me anything. Please tell me. And she tells me this story of what one of her habits, of how she compared herself and how embarrassing it was for her. And I was like, oh, that's totally normal. Those things come up for people all of the time. You're totally normal. And of course, it's embarrassing to say it out loud. But here is the best part. The 3 weeks into our coaching package, she's like, I no longer do that. I no longer care. I no longer am comparing myself. I'm no longer competing with these people. I think it's so silly and I no longer care. And I said, well, that makes total sense to me. This is one of the things we wanted to clear. And here's what I want to point out to you. We didn't actually work on that because that was a symptom. That was not the problem. The root cause of the problem was so much deeper than that and so much more important. And this to me is what really separates a good coach from a great coach, is one who can get to the very core root of the problem. Because if I had coached her on the way she was comparing herself, she would still be comparing herself because we could get through it. She could feel a little bit better. But the way to nip it in the bud so that it is gone forever is to get to the root cause. And that's what I did. And she didn't even notice it. So went to the root cause and then it was gone. The problem no longer existed. And this is the exact same thing with your pricing. If your pricing doesn't feel good to you, there is something underneath all the pricing. There is a limiting belief. There is your deepest inner critic. There's something going on that is the reason you don't feel good about it. And this is exactly why coaching is so powerful, because can you get to those root causes by yourself? Yes, 100%. And it takes a lot longer, it takes a lot more time. And it's really a skill being able to get to the root of a problem quickly. That's why coaching is so efficient, good coaching, because it gets you there. And so let's go back to my one-on-one client who was comparing herself to everyone, who just kept looking at other people's prices, kept looking. And then I put the kibosh on. I said, you're no longer allowed to look at anyone else. You've looked at everyone. The rule of 3 had come in. I had created it. You're allowed to compare yourself to the 3. And here's what we worked on shifting. I got her out of what she wanted to do that was making her feel better, which was looking at other people's pricing, and got her out of other people's worlds and into her own brain, into her own body, to feel what was going on with her pricing. And what we did is we shifted her certainty so that regardless of the quote that she was sending out, the product that she was selling, she felt really freaking good about it. And with that, she became certain with every quote she sent out. And now she's sending invoices that are so much higher. I cannot even tell you. I believe this last month, I have not been updated, but I am 90% sure that she sent out her highest invoice ever and felt good about it. And that is why the energy of pricing is so much more important than the number. Yes, is math part of pricing? 100%. We need to look at the math of your pricing to make sure that you're profitable, to make sure that it's all adding up, to make sure that you can get to your goal. But the math is literally the smallest piece of the pricing. So this is exactly why I am teaching a pricing workshop. It's called Raise Your Prices. It is going to be live on September 1st at 1 p.m. Pacific. If you can't make it live, there will be a replay. There's also a VIP upgrade, so you can spend 3 days in Telegram, which is a voice messaging app and texting app, so that we can actually go back and forth and I can help walk you through this, see what's coming up, go deeper into it. And we're going to talk all about not just the energetics of pricing, but how what got you to your first 6 figures is not going to get you to your next 6 figures, how you really need to adjust how you're looking at pricing. We are going to look at the math of it because that's a really important piece of the puzzle if you are scaling your business, if you have big goals. And we're going to look at the mindset underneath all of it because mindset is always the most important piece. It is what's going to carry you to the finish line, so that you can price how you want, feel good about it, and continue to do it and repeat this over and over. I'm literally so excited to teach this because this is probably my most requested topic to speak on. Just when people hear I'm a money coach, they always want to talk about price and numbers, even though it goes so much deeper than that. But this workshop is going to be so much more than math and numbers. It's really going to dive deep into this energetic piece, into this mindset piece. And then again, go through the numbers so that you can set yourself up for success, so that we're not doing all this work and then you're falling short of your goals. It's going to be so much fun. I would love to have you join me. It's on early bird pricing. So it's going to be a 90-minute workshop. Right now you can grab it for only $97. And then on August 15th, the pricing will go up to $149. And then of course there is the $55 VIP upgrade, which is a steal, where you can spend those 3 days with me. And then the VIP upgrade is only $55. I know that you're going to love it. I am told time and time again after I coach with clients in voice messaging that they're so impressed at how efficient it is, how useful it is. It's just such a helpful, good tool. And then if you haven't grabbed my AI pricing strategist, definitely grab that. I will link that in the show notes. That is a free tool that is going to compare you to a few of your competitors so that you can see if you're pricing right for the market. And then it will go into the energetics and the mindset behind it. And it will give you a little bit of coaching on that because that is the most important piece. I hope that this was helpful for you. And I hope now that I've planted this seed that you're really thinking about how you can shift your energy around your pricing so that you can attract all the money and have the business that you desire. Until next week, everyone, happy manifesting. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you're still here, I know you're serious about quantum leaping your income, and that commitment is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Here's what I want you to do next. Pick one insight from today and take action on it. Because here's the thing, transformation happens in the implementation, not just the inspiration. If this episode shifted something for you, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. It helps other ambitious, heart-centered women find the show. And if you're ready to take this work deeper and finally break through that income plateau, I'd love to invite you to book a discovery call with me. Because here's the thing, podcasts give you the what, but coaching gives you the how. It's what takes you from, I know what I should be doing, to, holy shit, I actually did it. Head to the show notes or to jillianminter.com to grab your spot on my calendar. Until next week, keep choosing abundance over scarcity, alignment over hustle, and remember, you're meant for more. You just have to believe it's yours.